Hi everyone, I Namita Mam welcome you in another session of verbal ability, and in today's class we will be learning about root words, vocabulary, how we can master the vocabulary, like in a very apt way, since we all know that vocabulary is a part that holds major portion in every exam that you appear in, be it your IP math, CUT, and any exam you're appearing in. IP math is really like the vocabulary is really the most important part, and we all know that vocabulary is like an ocean. You dive deep into it, but you do not have any way to come out of that. So today in this class, we'll try to, just learn the technique, how we can ease the way of learning vocabulary quite a bit, and which all are the words that are important for us. And we'll be going through as an a lot of knowledge together in the class. So stay with me, stay connected, and yes, what all words and what all vocabularies we are learning, make sure that you're repeating them, make sure that you are revising them, and you are learning them after, it should not be. I believe in one thing. Vocabulary, a kid is able to learn in a better way when you revise all the vocabularies after a certain gap. Let's assume if I read something, or let's say if I read 50 vocabularies today. Now, of course, for today I might remember them, but if I talk about after 5 days, or if I say after 10 days, am I going to remember all the vocabularies? Possibility is little low. So what you have to do actually is you have to make sure that you are revising the vocabularies after every week, or I'll say after a certain period of time. You have to have that habit of revising and repeating vocabulary what all you have learned. Chalo. So let's move. Let's see the techniques first. And trust me, the colors, the PPT is made in a very attractive way. So we learn. So today we are going to become detective. Let me take a pen first so that we can write. Okay. Yeah. So it's like, the word Detective Academy. Today we are going to be like the detectives. I don't have that, the lens. Otherwise we could have been, acting like a real detective, where we'll have our case files. We'll have we'll just decode the secret of English language, that how and what is the way of learning the English language, the vocabulary part. Chalo, let's start. So basically, what all things are there in English? Why English is so confusing? Imagine if this is the crime scene. Why is English so confusing? We are like, सर पकड़ लेते हैं हम अपना कि कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है. ये वर्ड पढ़ा, इसका सिनोनिम ये भी हो सकता है, वो भी समझ नहीं आ रहा था. ये पढ़ा, इसका सिनोनिम ये हो सकता है, वो भी नहीं समझ में आ रहा था. So why it is so confusing? The reason is the whole English that we read actually is a mixture of a thing, right? How? Actually, we are English people, as in we often mix local dialects with English. You often would have seen, of course, we do not, many people, I would say majority of people do not speak the real English. They club it like in English way. Similarly, we are more often in the form of SMS languages, a very Gen Z format of connecting with people, a very Gen Z format of talking to each other. Like, even I have become habitual to that. Oh, what's the tea for today? No. Imagine if somebody sitting before me is of our age and is not familiar with the word tea. मतलब बंदा चाय मांग रहा है, but in real sense, am I asking for tea? I am not asking for tea. Or sus, low key, high key, or there are words like clock it, clapping. These all are SMS languages. Now we are such people. In spite of writing okay, we have now shifted to K, and that's it. I know, if you know it, you know it. IYK. So we are dealing with a SMS language, which really had somewhere, I believe, taken our understanding or, that process of English to a different extent. It has become difficult, all the more difficult for us. Likewise, slang words. Ever-changing pop culture vocabulary, like the pop culture we are in. Oh, I'm not well versed with it, but you all can know it. Like PS, I will tell you when the pick credit PC when you write. I'll tell you for a longer period of time. Earlier, when this word was introduced back then, I used to think, what is PC for? Then I got to know pick credit. Oh, I'll tell you. Slang. I mean, SMS language will call it slang. FR, the for real. It took me so many months to realize because people used to write it, of course. I thought if I'm going to ask them, they'll feel like isko itna bhi nahi aata. I know that should not be there, but when you deal with the pop culture and Gen Z people, that somehow comes up. So I thought, okay, then I later on learned it is for real, for sure. Words like that. So because of these things, English really becomes confusing. And when you will be hearing that, I know a lot of words will be coming to your mind as well. So we are not going to memorize the dictionary, but we are going to learn how we can decode it. Maybe not 100%, but in this session of ours today, we will try to decode it like 20, 30, 40%. The much possible for us. Okay, so the very first method of learning is your root word. Let's say we learn about the module. The very first module or the very first pattern of learning vocabulary is with the help of root words. As in root words, let's say there are so many vocabularies where pain word comes, or there are so many vocabularies dict word comes. Now root words can act, either they can act as your prefixes, as in word के पहले आ सकते हैं, or they can act as suffixes, word के बाद आ सकते हैं. So I just need to know कि अगर ये word prefix में इधर आया तो इसका positive या negative meaning होगा, ये word इधर इसके बाद आया तो इसका ऐसा meaning होगा. So if I am versed with the root words, my learning of vocabulary becomes a lot easier for me. Like all I should know is that bane, जिधर भी word आएगा, it is a good word, good vocabulary word. So it will give me the meaning of something good for me, better for me, because positive intent का word है. Like benefit, bane word, benevolent, bane word. You can think of many vocabularies as well. Likewise, we have the word called as dict. Now you should know that dictation आप learn कर सकते हो. So जिधर भी dict आता है, dict is for words to speak. Right, so which means dictate karna, dictionary you are talking about. So the final word that we have is your benediction, and benediction, it means a good speech, a blessing. Or probably you must have seen people who are so good that they most of the time they speak very nicely in like, oh God bless you, may you keep smiling, may you always be happy. So people who speak like that are called as Benedict people. So I hope like अगर हमारे पास ये पूरा word आता, probably we might not have known the meaning, but since we have broken it into two parts, now we know what Benedict stands for. Like, okay, so and also this method of learning is called as etymology, guys, which means it is the science of breaking words into their original building blocks, prefixes and suffixes. As in, etymo का मतलब ही होता है vocabulary, root words when you talk about, and logy is a study, etymo's words. So study of words is called as etymology. Okay. Moving on to, let's master the key tool kit that we have studied just now, or we have just started it. Now, we learned bane, right? Like bane, we have the word called as amble. अभी हम बहुत सारे वर्ड्स पढ़ेंगे, आप खुद देखेंगे बेटा, जहां पे एम्बल वर्ड आता है. सो एम्बल बेसिकली जहां भी जिस भी vocab में आएगा, इट विल गिव यू द मीनिंग ऑफ वॉकिंग, चलना. लाइक ambulatory, ambulance, able to walk. Then you have somna ambulist. So somna, you should know, is a word that stands for sleep, and amble word is for walk. So basically, somnambulist is a person who walks in sleep. Likewise, you have perambulate, walking around, all over around is perambulate. Root word मजेदार तो है. Likewise, man. We studied bane. Bane का opposite man है. How? देखो, mal word जिधर भी आएगा, mal always gives you the meaning of something bad, evil, curse, negative. So malady means a curse you're talking about. Likewise, malignant, again negative you're talking about. Malediction, a person who always keeps on speaking bad things, negative things about you, is a mal person. Similarly, we have the word given as chrono, right? Chrono, jidhar bhi aayega, all you should know is chrono will relate to the time, to the order, whichever vocabulary it is put in. Like chronology, according to time, anachronism, time, chronic की बात कर रहे हो आप. Similarly, we have the word called as circum. So you should know circum means circum is like around, roundabout you're talking about. So like circumnavigate. So circumnavigate is what? गोल गोल घूम करके navigate करना, ढूंढना is circumnavigate. Similarly, circumvent. When से आप relate कर सकते हो? Likewise, we have cred. Very important word. So cred जिधर भी आ जाए आप cred को ऐसे याद कर सकते हो. Credible, credulous, or incredible, right? So cred word, wherever in whichever vocabulary it comes in, it gives you the meaning of something which has its own value, something that you can believe in is related to cred. So now since we have learned so many root words, you just need to speak with me. First one was bane, good, dict, speak, amble, walk, mal, bad, chrono, time, circum, roundabout. What are we left with? I think we covered all. Cred. Cred means to value, to believe. So did we decode this master toolkit? Yes, we did it. Next. Okay, now let's decode the root word. Now this is a case 5-1. Guys, we have to be attentive. Okay, let's see that. So the very first word is your ambidextrous. Now, how we can break it? See, of course, we are going to do a lot of questions also from this only. देखो, जिधर भी ambi word आएगा, ambi is for both. Dexterous या dext word जिधर भी आता है ना बच्चे, it is for skill. So basically, ambidextrous means when you are talking about a person who is skilled of writing from both hands, दोनों हाथ से लिख सकता है, that person is called as ambidextrous. Like, have you seen 3 Idiot movie? देखी है आपने, उसमें कैरेक्टर था वायरस का, very interesting character. Boman Hirani played that. So that virus was capable of writing from both hands. Or if you have seen that movie Robot, Rajnikant. So Rajnikant is also able to write from both hands. So a person who's skilled of writing from both hands is called to be ambidextrous. Likewise, you have the word called as omniscient. Now, omni is for all, scient is for present, or the person who knows everything, right? So omniscient would be knowing absolutely everything. A person who has the knowledge of like almost everything is omniscient, like God. Not I, of course. I'm doing hands like this. Feel like Shah Rukh Khan, but I do not. Then malediction. We just discussed this word. Mal is for bad. Diction is to speak. So a person who always speaks bad about someone is malediction, which means a curse. I can say that. Then the next one I have is, okay, now it's time to do a few root words from this. Let's do that. So the first word is, now we are going to learn about cressy. देखो, cressy word जिधर भी इंग्लिश में आएगा ना, it always relates to something related to government or something related to rule, right? Now let's solve all of these. पहला word आता है government by the people. Guys, this is what we say in India we have. That is called as democracy. Now I'll also tell you how you can break these words. All you should have known is demo word is for people, cressy is for government. That is why we say that in India we have democracy. Democracy means government to the people, for the people, by the people, right? Likewise, government by the king or queen. Now, government by the king or by queen is called as your monarchy. Similarly, government by the officials. Take your time and guess what is that called, government by the officials. So, government by the officials is called as your bureaucracy. Right? Please make sure you're writing all these words somewhere. Okay, we are done with bureaucracy. Now the next we have government by the rich. What is that called as? Okay, guys. Now government by the rich is okay. Let me tell you. There's a word called as Pluto. Pluto word is always for wealth. So now, if I were to say government by rich is called as what? So government by rich is called as plutocracy. Similarly, government by few, क्या बोलते हैं इसे? I hope you are taking your own time to answer these questions. Take your time. And what is the government by the nobles called as? बताओ भाई. Okay. See, government by few is called as oligarchy. Now, oligarchy or oligarchy. Olig word जो है ना बच्चे, this oliga word is for few, as in कुछ लोगों के लिए. And similarly, we have this called as a government of the nobles. That is called as your aristocracy. Aristocracy. Okay, you probably must have heard about or read about aristocrats. So aristocrats are who? Aristocrats are basically the noble people, right? So government by the nobles is called as aristocracy. Now just repeat after me. You just are sitting there and I'm putting a question and you're answering it, right? So government of the people, democracy. Government by nobles, aristocracy. Government by few, government by few is oligarchy. Then we have, you just have to look at me. And then what was that? Yes, government by the rich is what? So government by the rich is your called as plutocracy. And similarly, what is the government by the king and queen called as? That's called as monarchy. I hope now we are, and yes, government by the officials is called as bureaucracy. Okay, I assume now these things are done, sorted. Let's move on to all the more few root words. Okay, now side. So all you should know, जिधर भी side आएगा, side always stands for killing. Murders भी बहुत तरीके के होते हैं, guys. So now we'll see किसके killing को क्या बोलते हैं. Now let's start. Killing of human beings. So what is killing of human beings called as? See, killing of human beings को हम बोलते हैं homicide. Side is for killing and homi is for human beings. So homicide बोलते हैं. Similarly, what is the killing of or murder of king or queen called as? This is very easy, guys. You can you can do it like very easily. See, what do we call जो like a king and queen का whatever the regime, right? We call it regime. So regime से एक word आता है regi. So killing of murder or murder of king is called as your regicide. Similarly, we have the word called as killing of one's brother. So what is killing of one's brother called as? Very acha sa shabda, but of course nobody should do it. It's not good at all. So that's called as your fratricide. Fratricide. So fratry word is for brother. Remember that. So fratricide is the killing of one's own brother. किसी से बहन ने अपने भाई को मार दिया. Then we have killing of one's father. What is killing of one's own father? What do we call father side को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Father side को हम बोलते हैं patry, right? So it should be paternal बोलते हैं ना? So paternal से patry side आता है. So patry side is basically killing of one's own father. Similarly, we have killing of mother. What's that called as? Come on, guys, take your time and tell me what is the killing of one's own mother called as, and then what is the killing of one's own sister called as. And I know you all know the answer. Just tell me, what is the killing of one's own mother called as? जैसे हम पापा के साइड को पैट्री बोलते हैं, so मम्मी के साइड को क्या बोलते हैं? Matricide. So matri word is for mother. So matricide is killing of one's own mother. Similarly, we have the word called for the sister. So for sister, the word is sororicide. So sororicide is the killing of one's own sister. Are we done with this? No. You just have to repeat after me. Don't look what is written here. Again, repeat after me. Killing of human beings. homicide. Killing of one's own father, patricide. Killing of one's own mother, matricide. Killing of one's own sister, sororicide. Killing of one's own king, not own, but killing of king or queen, regicide. Killing of one's brother, fratricide. I hope now this side is clear to you. Chalo guys. Moving on to the next one. That is your able. So able word jidhar bhi aayega, that is for always a person who is able, ability show karta hai. Like we have a sound that cannot be heard. बच्चे, this is very easy. हम audible बोलते हैं when we talk about a sound that we can hear. So in लगा दोगे. So inaudible means when you talk about a sound that you cannot hear. That's called as inaudible, right? सुन सकते हो? नहीं सुन सकते. Similarly, incapable of being corrected. Very important. It has been asked so many times in the examination. Tell me, what is it called? Incapable of being corrected is called as what? Take your time and tell me. What is that called as? See, corrected को आप हमेशा बोलते हो. ठीक. This is actually called as your incorrigible. Corrigible is corrected. In means incapable of being corrected. Likewise, you have incapable of being read. That's called as your illegible. Right. So illegible is basically what? Able means incapable of being read. Now we have the next one called as something which cannot be avoided. Something that cannot be avoided is called as inevitable. हम बोलते हैं ना हमेशा, तो that should be inevitable. That means something that cannot be avoided. Likewise, we have one to overcome to be. Okay, one who is too strong to be overcome. So that is, have you read that? Have you heard that song? I'm invincible. I have heard something. So that is called as invincible. Invincible. So invincible is basically one who is too strong to overcome. Now likewise, जैसे हमने able पढ़ा, we have the word called as sof, S-O-P-H. जिधर भी S-O-P-H आएगा, that will always give you the meaning of being very wise. Like we have the question, what is a wise person called as? We all know the answer. What we call a very wise person? देखो, wise person is called as philosopher. Similarly, अगर कहीं भी कोई भी word है जिसमें a और an आता है, so a और an always gives you the meaning which is very negative, right? So a person who does not believe in God. First thing you should know is theist word जिधर भी आता है, it means when you talk about a person who believes either in God or religion, it's called as what? It's called as theist. So a or an means without. So can I say a theist would be a person who doesn't believe in God or religion? Similarly, a person who does not have any feelings. So what do we call that person? इसमें feelings नहीं होती. देखो, बच्चे feeling के लिए हमेशा एक root word आता है pathy. And you will realize हमने इस क्लास में बहुत root words पढ़ लिए हैं. ठीक है. So for feelings, we have a root word called as apathy, which means a person who has feeling. So when I say apathy, I am talking about a person who doesn't have feelings at all. Right? Okay. I hope these are done. Able to something that cannot be heard, inaudible. That cannot be corrected, incorrigible. Cannot be inward aa jata hai, right? And then something that cannot be avoided, inevitable. Something that is too strong to be defeated or to overcome, invincible. A person who's very wise, philosopher. A person who doesn't have feeling, apathy. Person who doesn't believe in God, एथीस्ट. थीस्ट भगवान के लिए, पैथी इमोशंस के लिए, इबल काम होने के लिए, सोफ इज फॉर वाइज, राइट. देन सिमिलरली ऑडिबल इज सुनने के लिए, एम्बल वर्ड इज चलने के लिए, सोमना वर्ड इज नींद के लिए, मैल इज बुरे के लिए, बेन वर्ड इज फॉर गुड. Are you realizing how many root words have we done in the class? Cred means believe करने के लिए. So आपको पता नहीं चलेगा, but हमने बहुत सारे root words करे. And Don't you think अगर ये root words कहीं पे भी किसी vocabulary में आ गए, it will just take a stand to you and be like, oh, hold on, I know the meaning of the word. That is how you're gonna behave. Okay, so we are done with module 1, which was the root word. Now we are going to do the module 2, which is your language thief. See guys, now here language thief is what? So in language thief, I'm basically talking about your foreign words. Since we all know that English is not some original language, so I would say that in English most of the words are your foreign words. Foreign words का मतलब क्या होता है? When we talk about the words which are not of English origin, but those words have been taken from other languages, are called as your foreign words. As in, English language is a mixture of the words taken from the languages your Spanish, French, Italian, Latin. So these are the languages from which the words were taken and a language called as English was made. So English is actually a language thief, nothing else. And that is why English is a lingua franca. Lingua franca itself is a foreign word which means a common language. Common language. Right, which means a common language built by borrowing the best words from Latin, French, German, Italian and Spanish. And to be amazed, you do have so many questions from the foreign words, right? So all we have to do is we really have to memorize. Can you see it's like a passport? English is like a passport which has words from almost like every language. Even it has got so many words from your Hindi as well, Sanskrit as well. So what we have to do? To be a master detective, you need to recognize the fingerprints. Fingerprints as in you have to check word kidhar ka hai of other nations hidden inside our everyday sentences. Like I'll give you quite a few examples. You must have heard about the word kindergarten. We all have, I believe. But do you know kindergarten is not an English word? Kindergarten is a foreign word. Likewise, you probably would have read about a word called as hamburger, which again is your foreign word. Similarly, a very famous line of the girls, carpe diem. आपने देखा होगा Instagram में most of the girls put their bio as carpe diem, which means seize the day. Is again your foreign words. So you do not realize, but in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day understanding, we do come across so many words, I tell you, so many words which are your foreign words. Okay, moving ahead, the global word matrix. Now let's learn a few. Don't you think guys learning like this, it's quite fun and interesting? Okay, so global matrix. Now let's talk about a few Italian words. Like Latin words, my bad, not Italian guys. Like, so Latin में majorly जो words आते हैं, they are law or academics related, as in the study related, right? जैसे if I talk about bona fide, you probably must have heard about the word bona fide certificate बनवाते हैं लोग. So why do they get their bona fide certificate made? So bona fide certificate basically बनवाया जाता है because it guarantees that a person is of the good faith. Bona is for good, which means a person has not committed any crime. It's called as your bona fide person, right? So it means without fraud. Similarly, we have the word called as modus operandi. Now, modus also, I'll tell you because there are so many foreign words. If you think that you are finding a lot of difficulty in understanding that, so all you have to do is, guys, you know, the easiest way I have cracked it, how I'm able to remember them, search a word which is very much nearby another easiest synonym to you, as you know kiske similar sound karta hai. So according sound similar words you can relate to foreign also, like modus, method, way, I can say method, operandi, operate, so method of operating or working is called as modus operandi. Likewise, caveat emptor. Now, let the buyer aware. Caveat is basic. Emptor means as in let the person be aware of the things, that these things are not done right. Similarly, so Latin words are basically law and academics related. Likewise, if I talk about French, so when we talk about the French, words in English. So most of the French words basically talk about your the style, the dressing style, the culture, the society, the behavior. Like deja vu. So you must have, oh, it was really a deja vu for me. So when and in what scenario do you say deja vu? So deja vu is for something that you have already experienced. You feel like you already have experienced it. It's called as your deja vu. Similarly, faux pas, very common. I'll tell you. You can relate it to just for your understanding. What is that girl's name that often comes into the Instagram? Urfi, right? So Urfi's dressing sense most of the time to the society is like a faux pas. So faux pas means a social blunder. As in, let's assume that you were called to some function, and the theme of that function was that you were supposed to come in traditionals, but you just went in lower and t-shirt. So that for that function would become what? That then for that function would be faux pas. I hope you're getting my sense out of that. Then haute couture. Now, couture you already know is for the dressing sense. So high class dressing. So haute is for like high and couture is for the way people are presented. Then similarly, now if I would talk about Spanish. So, and you can see the logo guys. Law, culture, right? And then you have the bull and the guitar. And we all know that Spanish, we are very much affectionated with the song, the language, particularly the Spanish songs. So that is for the action or the passion. Most of the words like that belong to action and passion have been taken from the Spanish language. Like you have aficionado. Now, aficionado basically means enthusiastic. Then we have bravado. So bravado word is for false bravery. Like, of course, ये थोड़ा opposite है. Now, bravado sounds very similar to bravery. But no, if I say, oh, he's a total bravado person, means he often shows fake bravery. Likewise, I have a word, we also are going to talk about the words which are of German relation. So German culture words basically relate you to emotion and culture, right? In most of the cases, they relate you to the culture, the emotion, as in angst. If I talk about now, angst word is very similar to anxiety, right? Similarly, as I told you, kindergarten is a word. Now you should know that kindergarten is your German word, and which means, of course, we talk about the play school. Then cheese. So cheese is a word which stands for the poor quality. Niche, cheese, words like these. So they talk about the quality. Then we also have a lot of words. Of course, apart from this also, guys, I'm going to take you through a long list of foreign words. Then, like if I talk about Italian, so quite a few words have been taken from Italian, which are basically for arts and drama. Like fiasco. So fiasco means failure. Like if I say that, oh, this attempt of mine was like a total fiasco to me. So total fiasco means it was a total failure I'm talking about. Similarly, prima donna. Prima donna means lead singer. The main singer is your prima donna, right? Okay, so I hope also guys, I'll tell you one thing, not many chances are there that they might ask you that which is your Latin word or French word or Spanish word in the examination. But yes, they might ask you, they might give you a word and then may ask you what is the meaning of the word. Like faux pas, let's take an example of if the word comes as faux pas and they ask you the meaning of the faux pas. So 4 options would be there and then you have to decode, okay, this is the meaning. So in short guys, foreign words are nothing but they are a form of the vocabulary that you deal with. Faux pas or faux pas as in foreign words और कुछ भी नहीं है, बस vocabulary है. Now let's go. केस 1 हमने vocab कर दिया रूट वर्ड का. अभी केस 2 हमारा पासपोर्ट मैचअप का है. So imagine if the word is given as par excellence. So par excellence, you should know, is your French word, right? And par excellence means to a degree of excellence. So if something you are demanding and matches, to match it, that person is allowed to go to France. Then we have a word called as Sinde. Sinde is basically a Latin word which means without an appointed day. As in, sign is like the given and dies for the day. Let's say if somebody comes and visits a person without taking a formal appointment, would be called as your sign day. Similarly, impasse. So impasse is your French word and which basically means a deadlock. Okay, I hope now you would have gotten an idea of how your approach has to be of dealing with the vocabulary as in the foreign words. Okay, now here's a long list of the root words as in the foreign words given to you. Root words we did earlier. Let's go through a few. Now, guys, जो black में marked है, as you can see, some are put in bold, some are not put in bold. So these words are some which have already been repeated many a times in the examination. Because I really wanted you to have an idea that words भी repeat होते हैं, foreign words भी repeat होते हैं. So the ones put in bold are really the repeated ones. Let's discuss those first. Let's start from the Latin ones. So Latin में if I talk about alma mater, very important one, guys. Now, alma mater is nothing but when you talk about the institution or place from where you have done your education from. जैसे आपने अपनी स्कूल से पढ़ाई करी है, so your school will become what? Your school for you would be an alma mater. So alma mater पढ़ाई education से relate करता है. This you should know. One's former school, college or university, former place you have done your education from. Likewise, alter ego if I talk about. Let's say if somebody comes and says, oh, he's my alter ego. So alter ego means when you talk about a person who is very much like you, as in like a person who maybe not physically but mentally is very much like you, or could be physically but alter the another person of you, like a close friend, the other self when you talk about. Likewise, bona fide. I think we just have did that word. Bona means good, right? So bona fide would be when you talk about a person who's of good faith. It's called as bona fide. And similarly, caveat. So caveat is warning. I don't quite very well remember, but there's some story or poem in 11th or 12th that talks about the caveat word. So it's a caveat. It's a warning to you. Like, come a caveat emptor and caveat vendor. Right, so it's just a warning that deal your way, but there could be things fishy. Then, similarly, in toto, I think in toto hota hai, then there's a word called as prorata also. Prorata is a word that you probably would have read in the accounts, I think, when you do the calculations and all. So that prorata, rata sounds to ratio, pro sounds similar to proportion. So in proportion, in ratio is prorata. Likewise, if I were to decode in toto क्या होता है? So in toto, now toto sounds similar to what? It sounds similar to total. So in toto means in total. Likewise, if I talk about magnum opus, now how you could have related it? मैंने आपको बोला था ना जब भी आपको ये foreign words करने हैं, आप ये देखो ये किसके similar sound करते हैं. जैसे magnum opus. Now magnum is for grand, for huge, right? So magnum opus जब 4 ऑप्शंस होंगे ना किसी भी ऑप्शन में अगर आपके पास ग्रेट, ह्यूज, ग्रैंड नाम का वर्ड दिया है गाइस, so you can go for magnum opus, which means a great work. Like if I say that the Eiffel Tower, whichever person has contributed to it, it's a magnum opus. So it's a great work by that person. Similarly, Mikalpa. So Mikalpa is basically my sin, my guilt. Me is I. Kalpa is the culprit. So I am the culprit. My sins, my guilt, I am talking about. So Mikalpa. Similarly, I think we did already this. Modus operandi is the method of operating. Operandi, operate, and then you had modus, method. Likewise, you had modus vivendi. Modus is for the way and vivendi is for life. Similarly, prorata. We just did it, guys. I thought nahi diya hoga. So these were some of the Latin phrases which have been repeated earlier in the PYQs. Let's see, और भी कुछ है क्या? जैसे in memoriam है. So memoriam sounds very similar to the memory, right? Similarly, you have ad hoc. So ad hoc is quite an important word, which means for a special purpose. Similarly, we have curriculum vitae. We all make our CV ना. You must have seen जब किसी को अपना resume submit करना होता है. So one is they call resume, another is they call CV. So the full form of CV actually it's a Latin word which means curriculum vitae. Oh, lingua franca we did, which means a common language, guys. Similarly, inter alia or inter alia, whichever way you pronunciate that, means inter means among, interconnected you're talking about. Okay, let's move to other words. Let's talk about now quite a few French words. Let's see that. Okay, like avant-garde, quite an important word for you. So avant-garde is basically radically new or original when you're talking about. Like, for an example, if something is there in the market which is very exceptional, very new, very, celebrated. So that's called as your avant-garde. Likewise, we have the word, Bon Voyage. I think probably you must have read about this word, right? It is there in many, I would say, your web series of the Netflix, and often people refer to that word. So Bon Voyage is basically when you say goodbye to somebody. अभी normally आपको बोलना है so bye bye tata ऐसा बोल सकते हो. Now Bon Voyage, so it's like quite a fancy way of saying that, right? At the start of the new journey. Then, tete-a-tete. Now imagine it's a very cool word, guys, if you use it. What does a tete-a-tete means? A private conversation between two people. Abhi dekho, let's say if you and your friend were talking about something, were discussing about something very secretive, and if somebody comes and interferes, and you have to see, please हमारी बात मत सुनो, leave us alone, हमें बात करने दो, interfere मत करो बीच में. Interfere की जगह आप क्या बोल सकते हो? Bro, it's tete-a-tete, which means the private conversation, do not come in between. A fancy word you can learn for that. Then, deja vu we already discussed, faux pas we already discussed, haute couture we already discussed. Then we have vis-a-vis, right? So vis-a-vis is basically compared with coup, which means illegal charge of government by force. So coup, government ने coup लगा दिए. So which means government has put illegal charges against a person. Likewise, we have more to go. Like, we have Italian words. Now, let's go through quite a few Italian words as well. See, sonnet, काफी important है, guys, for the vocabulary also and for your foreign words also. Now, in my head, I'll tell you, it's like more of like vocabulary. Okay, so Bandit, yes, I think you should have watched it. It's one of the web series also in Netflix. Bandit Queen, I think that is the name. So, bandit means a criminal, right? Now, imagine if somebody is there before you who's a criminal. आपको नहीं बोलना है, भाई तो criminal है, you're a criminal. You can say, you're a bandit. How elegant and nice and good it sounds. It will make you feel like among the gentry you are in. Brother is very much educated. Similarly, sonnet. So, sonnet basically means a poem of 14 lines. So, whenever you come across a poem which is of 14 lines, you can call it what? You can call it a sonnet. Similarly, ke sara sara. So, that means what will be, as in whatever has to happen will be happen, whatever will be. क्या कुछ नहीं कर सकते हम उसमें. Then prima donna, I think we did it, the lead singer. Then in a girls band is your prima donna. So donna is basically Madonna से relate कर सकते हो आप. It's a word that is for girls. Then similarly we have sentinel. Sentinel is basically a guard. Fiasco we have already discussed. Fiasco means failure when we are talking about. Similarly, nepotism, a very well-known word I think we all are aware of. Like when people come and say, it's a nepotism. So nepotism का मतलब होता है favoritism, right? Similarly, now coming to Spanish words. So, Spanish में we have already discussed this. Bravado we have discussed. A person who is like a very false bravery dikhane wala person is called as your bravado. Then we have a word called as siesta. Siesta. So they speak like that. Siesta is basically what? Afternoon sleep. Now, how a lovely and a good word it is. Imagine you are at your home and you're sleeping in the afternoon. Mummy and bolo, mummy, it's siesta time. So mama again would be like, bol kya rahe ho? What are you trying to say? Siesta, mama, siesta. It's afternoon sleep. Do not disturb me. D&D. Then we have the word called as desperado. Bravado ke jaise hi tha. So, desperado means one who does foolish and risky criminal activities because a person is very desperate to perform. Similarly, cantina is your bar. Stampede, hasta la vista, ye aapne suna hoga. I think this was in a lot of rings. This word was used in. So, which means goodbye, farewell. ऐसा एक वर्ड हमने बॉर्न वॉइस भी पढ़ा था ना, when you say goodbye and you wish luck for a person who starts their new journey, like is your hasta la vista. So hasta la vista is also for somebody when you farewell, when you say goodbye, hasta la vista then you say. Okay guys, now it's time for us to go through the questions. Now since you forgot that we were the detectives, now let's detect how much we know. So these questions could be a mix of your root words and the foreign words that we have studied. Hope you're with me on that. Okay, let's see. So a person who talks in sleep, abhi dekho, I told you, jo neend ke liye word hota hai, that is your som or somna, could be for sleep. Loka word could be for to speak. So, a person who talks in sleep could be your somnologist, right? Then, somnambulist is also a word. Somna is for sleep. Amble we have just studied, guys. याद है आपको हमने एक picture पढ़ी थी. Amble मतलब चलना. So, somnambulist, a person who works in sleep. Then we have a word called as your termagant. So, termagant means a person who is very bellicose in nature. ये भी एक रूट वर्ड मैं आपको बताती हूँ. So belly means hostile in nature, a person who is always ready to fight, a very quarrelsome person. Similarly, we have the word called as Samaritan. So Samaritan is a very helpful and a charitable person. Done. Okay, next we have one extremely fond of one's wife. Fratry, matry, patry. We would studied that word. Similarly, guys, when we talk about wife, there's a word called as yuxor. So, yuxor word would always talk about the wife. Now you just see where and in which word it is given. It is given in the A1. So, a person who's fond of wife is uxorious. Now imagine if we talk about a person who kills his own wife, would be called as what? Or that action would be called as uxoricide. Similarly, there's a word called as truant. So truant basically means a person who stays away from school or duty without permission. Bunk marna, easy word में हम बात करें तो. Then we have veteran. आपने सुना होगा veteran director, veteran actor, veteran writer. So that is basically, so it's like a person who's with a lot of experience, a person who's senior in that category or in that genre is your veteran person. Then you have virtuoso. Virtuoso is for skill. Since वो उधर लिखा नहीं है तो मैं इसका मतलब यहाँ लिख देती हूँ. So virtuoso इधर भी आएगा, guys. It is for the skill we talk about. Then we have आगे हमारी questions, guys. That's it. चलो. So a decision. What do we call a decision made by public? Public के through decision जो होता है उसको क्या बोलते हैं? Quickly, get to it. Yes, you probably must be right, but मुझे आवाज नहीं आई आपकी. Of course नहीं आ सकती, but let's try that. बोले भाई, what can be the answer, or what do we call this? Okay, guys. Chalo, let's see now. A decision made by public is called as what? So that's called as your plebiscite, right? Now let's see the meaning of other options. Oh, sorry. Yes, it's C. Don't get confused. Potable is drinkable, something that you can consume. You often would have heard people saying that, oh, it's a potable water, which means it's a drinkable water. You can drink it. Similarly, you have referendum. So referendum is basically public voting. You know, referendum pass किया जाता है आपके parliament में. So basically, all together, collectively, when a bill or anything would be passed. So by a public voting. Then, I mean, like the parliament majority, when you say talk about sacrilege, is showing disrespect towards something that is sacred. So that's called as sacrilege. दूसरा सवाल हमारा है ये. A short story with a moral is called as what? Parable. पैरोल तो जेल में निकलते हैं, आपको याद है? पैरोल मिली है, बेल मिली है. Panacea, let me write it. It is a cure of all diseases. So, like रामबाण समझते हो आप क्या होता है? So when we talk about a medicine which is the cure of all disease, it's called as your panacea, right? So it should be your parable. So parable is a story which is with the morals and values. Since regalia, of course, it is written that, and regalia is related to your royal things. So the real meaning of that is your royal emblem or ceremonial dresses when you talk about. It's a regalia. Regalia, regal, regime, royal. याद रहेगा. Panacea क्या होता है? Cure for all diseases. Panacea. Paracetamol से याद करो आप. Like whenever anything happens to us, we go to one medicine. Like पहली हमारी medicine होती है paracetamol. So paracetamol for us is what? It is like a panacea. कुछ भी हो, पहले हमें paracetamol खाना होता है. Then parable, a short story with a moral. Then we did parole. Parole is like जेल से बाहर निकलते हैं जब लोग. Then we have, of course, a decision made by the public voting. It's called as your plebiscite. Right? And then sacrilege means when you talk about a person who doesn't respect sacred things, good things, pious things. Then, hazard ho jao questions. Aaya nahi guys? Okay. Now, what do we call something that causes death? Fatal, fauna, fragile, fable. Okay, I think, see, fragile means when you talk about something which is very delicate. Fauna is when you talk about the animal kingdom, right? Things related to flora and fauna, आपने सुना होगा. So plants and animals. Then fable is your story when you talk about. Okay, of course we did 3, so it should be fatal, right? Then we have. Were we having only one question? Okay. Guys, कुछ आया? Oh, we did not wanted that. Now we have the questions of your foreign words that we were studying, right? Okay, let's see that. It says you have to choose the meaning of the foreign phrases given there. Let's go for it. Par excellence. Now, par excellence is what? Excellence. हमने ये पढ़ा भी था ना? Do you remember of passport वाला जब बना हुआ था आपका? So it was like par excellence लिखा था. So far from excellence नहीं होना चाहिए, of course. It should be doubt नहीं होना चाहिए. It should be beyond excellence. Then the next is RSVP. Very, very I don't know, but if you have ever seen people, the corporate employees, the corporate people, talking or they're discussing about things. So जब उन्हें किसी चीज का reply बहुत जल्दी चाहिए होता है ना, या when they say reply to it if possible and ASAP, so they write RSVP. It's a corporate word, more of that. So it should be reply if you please. So that should be a B part. And it's a French word. Okay guys, abracadabra. Okay, question. Okay. Scientific, I think we did this word before, Abhijab, when we were discussing about all the foreign words. We did that, right? Okay. So that is your Latin word, of course. And what does that mean? A fixed day, a sign, document, a sin without an appointed day. Can I say without an appointed day? Because if you remember, then there also I told you that this is for the day. So a person who comes before, without taking an appointment. So that relates to that word. Then आप origin, I think आप relate कर सकते हो. This is a Latin word which means, of course, origin would be for the starting point, for the origin. So really a native. Acha, we have the answer, guys. That should be from the origin. Acha, आप भी word याद रखना. Ab is mostly for the starting, for the related things. So ab आप बोलते हो. ठीक है? I hope इधर तक किसी भी चीज में कहीं पे भी आपको कोई भी दिक्कत नहीं होगी. So we are doing great. Then we have impasse. Now, impasse is, do you remember ये भी passport वाले उसमें था impasse. So it means a deadlock, right? So impasse is a deadlock. Okay, guys. Now we have the last module of ours, which is also very interesting. As you can see, the prism, right, through which the reflection is taking place. Now, the module 3 is about your one-word substitution, which one word substitution, I believe, is one of the very important one, and one of those things which really, makes your writing or speaking very catchy. Now you imagine if you had to speak, let's say if I were to talk about a person, if I had to say, oh, that person is very literate and intelligent. इतनी लंबी लाइन को मैं बोल सकती हूँ, he's a scholar. Are you getting my sense out of that? So one word substitution really frames your English in a very nice way, catchy way, and it looks very elegant and nice. So like when you write essays and all, and when you are being given the time limit, so what do? Is we try stretching our statements. So to avoid that, we can take in help of your one word substitutions. How they work? Like if I were to talk about the study of practice of traveling through air. Now you imagine how many words were there. उसको हम simply बोल सकते हैं, oh, we are talking about aeronautics. Easier. Now imagine 3 lines of sentences. They say a painting, drawing or photograph of a person's head or shoulders. That is called as portrait. If I say, oh, I made a painting or drawing of a photograph of a person with head and shoulder, नहीं बोलना, इतना easy बोलना है. याद है Instagram reels आते हैं, आपके पास एक genre होता है reels का which is in spite of saying this, say this. In spite of using this, use this. That is your one word substitution only, right? जैसे have you heard about the word supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? That is what? Fabulous. Can you imagine the sense? So I could simply say the portrait. Similarly, someone who knows a lot about a subject. Either I can say, oh, that person knows a lot about the subject, or I can say he's a scholar man. Simple. So that's how your one word substitutions really work. Like, okay, let's see. Identify your type. So these are our 3 suspects. Pehla suspect hai. Even the heights and all are also given, guys. Okay, a person who talks in the sleep. Abhi I told you, sleep आएगा, सोमना word आएगा, talk आएगा, लोका word आएगा. So सोमना लोकिस्ट. तो इस बंदे का नाम क्या है? ये सोमना लोकिस्ट है. इसका नाम पता करते हैं. A decision made by public voting. Why did I made you those questions practice ताकि अब आप समझ पाओ कि चीजें relate कैसे करना है, right? So a decision made by public voting is called as what? Guys, it's simple. That's called as your plebiscite. That's it. Similarly, इसका नाम plebiscite है, उसका नाम somnologist है. अब इस third वाले का नाम पता करते हैं. One who is extremely, but he is very extremely fond of one's wife. क्योंकि ये wife का बहुत, like he is fond of his wife. So इसको हम बोलेंगे uxorious. This guy is somnologist. This guy is your plebiscite. This guy is your uxorious. और आपको पता है जब हम क्लास में भी पढ़ते हैं ना तो हम ऐसे ही पढ़ते हैं. So the more creative, the more fun way we study, the more better way we are able to understand things. I hope you get that thing of mine. Okay, let's learn about the mind, the brain, the left side and the right side, cerebrum and cerebrum. Let's see that. Okay, so the first root word that we will be doing would be your ology, study of. For an example, we have ology. Ology means the study of. Like if I talk about कितने words बथेरे हैं guys, अभी हम और भी पढ़ेंगे. Entomology. This ento word is for insects. Logy is study. So entomology means study of insects. Graphology. Grapho is for writing. Logy is for study. So study of writings. सेलेनोलॉजी, सेलेनोफाइल अगर आपने वर्ड सुना होगा, कई सारे लोग होते हैं जिनके इंस्टाग्राम में एक बायो लिखा होता है सेलेनोफाइल. सो सेलेनो वर्ड इज फॉर मून. लॉजी स्टडी, सो स्टडी ऑफ मून. सिमिलरली इफ आई टॉक अबाउट मैनिया, मैनिया वर्ड जिधर भी आएगा दैट्स अबाउट द ऑब्सेशन. राइट. ओह बाय द वे, ऑब्सेशन मूवी देखी है आपने? यू मस्ट वॉच इट. देन वी हैव एब्लिटोमोनिया. एब्लिटोमानिया आपको पता होना चाहिए, एब्लिटो वर्ड आता है क्लीनिंग के लिए, राइट. सो एब्लिटोमानिया मीन्स अ पर्सन हु इज वेरी ऑब्सेस्ड विद क्लीनिंग एंड वॉशिंग. पता चला जो धुली हुई चीजें उनको भी धो देगा उठा के. देन वी हैव पायरोमानिया. ऑल यू शुड नो इट बेटा, ये भी टूट रहा है. पायरो वर्ड जहां भी आएगा इट इज फॉर फायर. सो अ पर्सन हु इज मैनियक अबाउट फायर इज योर पायरोमानिया. Similarly, megalomania. So, megalo is basically believe in one's great importance. Megal word is for oneself. जब इंसान खुद के लिए बोलता है, that's called as your megalomania. Okay, let's see. अभी बहुत है हमारे पास, guys. So we did logy, we did mania. Similarly, we have the root word called as biblio. So all we should know that biblio word जिधर भी आएगा is for books. Zoo word जिधर भी आएगा is for animal. Cynophobia, cynophile आप सुनोगे अगर. Cyno word is for dog. Likewise, bibliophile. So file is for lover actually. Book का lover is bibliophile. Zoology, zoo is for animal. Animals की study is your zoology. Cynophobia. अब आपको समझ में आ रहा है कि अगर आपको रूट वर्ड्स आते हैं आपकी इंग्लिश कितनी आसान हो जाएगी कि वर्ड्स को बस तोड़ा एंड पढ़ा. That's it. Cynophobia. Cyno is for dogs. Phobia is for fear. A person who has a fear of dogs. Similarly, obsession पे आते हैं. बिब्लियो बुक्स. अभी यहाँ पे बुक से प्यार था, यहाँ से उसको कंपल्सन है. बिब्लियोमानिया अगेन अ पर्सन हु इज क्रेजी अबाउट बुक्स. लाइकवाइज बिब्लियो क्लेप्टोमानिया. 3 वर्ड्स देयर. मैनिया ऑब्सेशन है, बिब्लियो बुक्स है, क्लेप्टो वर्ड का मतलब होता है चोरी करना, थीफ. So, a person who has the compulsion of stealing books is called as your bibliokleptomania. जहां किताबें दिखेंगी पता लगा चोरी हो गई. Similarly, zoomania, fondness of animals. Cynomania, obsession for dogs. ये fear है, ये obsession है. Mania is for obsession. Then your logy is study, phobia is fear. These are the root words. I hope now you are getting my sense of relating that root words कितने important हैं. अगर आपको root words आते हैं, so guys, your understanding of the vocabulary really becomes very, very easy for you. Let's move on to next. Okay, now it says it's like a balancing act we're talking about. Like synonyms and antonyms. Since we studied root words, we studied one word substitution, we studied foreign words. Now it's time to learn another thing, which is your antonym and synonym. It is also one of the very important part of the vocabulary. But to be precise, guys, it is also very simple to what we have been studying till now. As in, antonym and synonyms are nothing but root words से break करके आप इनको भी learn कर सकते हो. So synonyms are similar weight, as in the similar sounding, not the weight. Like trivial is equals to unimportant. It's unimportant to me. It's very trivial. How I can replace and make my English sound very good. Homonyms नाम की भी एक चीज होती है. Homonyms basically means same spelling but different meaning. Beer and beer, right? Then you have bat and bat. One bat is like your baseball wala bat, and one bat is your animal. One beer is your animal. Another beer is your beer, the pain. So multiple. The spellings are same, but the meaning is different. It's called as a homonyms. Then homophones bhi hai. Homophones are for the sound that they sound same, but they have got different spellings. Like C and C, except and except. Right? So this C means to dekhna. This C is for samudra. Likewise, antonyms. So antonyms are opposites. For an example, a person who is very positive about the future is called as optimistic. So उसका positive क्या हो जाएगा? A person who is very negative about future. और अगर वो अपने future को लेके बहुत negative है, so then that person could be called as what? Pessimistic. So that's antonyms and synonyms for you. Then we have how, like the battle. Did we do the previous one, guys? Okay, with this same we have to find, like we have to find the antonyms, like it's like how the synonyms and antonyms are given. So you have to find the antonym for fragile. We know that fragile is something that is very trivial, unimportant, weak, something breaks easily. So these are the synonyms and this is the antonym. Likewise, extraneous word agar diya hai, so redundant and repetitive would be the synonyms, relevant would be the antonym. Similar, candor a word agar diya hai, so candor mein if I talk about your intimacy, enthusiasm and openness could be one. Okay, so the ultimate word decoder blueprint. So this is whole. अभी हम ना अपना केस क्लोज करने वाले गाइस, जो हम लोगों को आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे थे, पासपोर्ट बना रहे थे. So it was like a case study that we were very much indulged into, but हम अभी अपना केस स्टडी बंद करने वाले हैं बहुत जल्दी. Let's see that. So पहला हमने सीखा था etymology. Let's wrap it up. Which means the studying of words, breaking it into the part of like root words. Second we studied to passport को हम कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं कि वो वैलिड है या नहीं है. That was like to recognize the foreign words, right? So passports में we studied the foreign words. BRICS में we studied the root words. In PRISM we studied one word substitution. कि इतना सारा आउटपुट दिया, एक इनपुट दिया, एक वर्ड में आउटपुट निकल के आ गया. One word substitution. Then in the mind we studied antonyms, synonyms, homophones, homonyms. So this we studied in the mind, right? So prism was the condensed, long into the leisure focus singular words, like somnambulist, and this was all about the logy, the manias, the vocabulary. So now guys, अभी इस पूरे केस स्टडी का सोल्यूशन क्या है? इस पूरे केस स्टडी से हमने क्या सीखा? दैट हमारा केस क्लोज हो गया है एंड वी आर नाउ ऑफिशियली ग्रेजुएटेड वर्ड डिटेक्टिव्स. तो अब हम वर्ड्स को देख करके पहचान सकते हैं एंड नाउ वी आर द वर्ड डिटेक्टिव्स. रिमेम्बर गाइस, अब रियल लाइफ को पता नहीं है बट हम शब्दों के डिटेक्टिव तो बन चुके हैं भाई. अब हम कुछ रूट वर्ड्स और फिर हम कुछ सवाल करेंगे, कुछ सवाल होंगे, कुछ जवाब होंगे, फिर वो व्हाट डू यू कॉल इट, order we'll do that. Then let's go through. So these root words are probably from the word ology, study, like aero for air, study of air. Remember anthro word jidhar bhi aayega for human, so anthropology, study of humans. Arachno word is for spiders, so arachnology, study of spiders. बस तोड़ रहे हैं, हम कुछ नहीं कर रहे, सिर्फ तोड़ेंगे. I'll just take you through every word by breaking it into parts. Then apio, apio word is for bees, study of bees. Archaeology, archeo is for the history, so study of history and the past things. Astro is for the stars, study of stars. Then biology, bio is your life, so biology, study of life and its things. Conchology, concho word आपका shells के लिए आता है, so study of shells. Then we have cosmetology, cosmetics, study of cosmetics is called as cosmetology. Then we have crypto, cryptocurrency, coded currency होती है ना, याद रह सकता है, so that crypto word is for the codes. Dendro, remember अगर आपसे कोई पूछे what is the study of trees called as, so study of trees is called as your dendrology. Then we have dermatology, dermat, skin, study of skins. Is it similar? Ecology, eco, environment, study of environments. Entomology, ento, insects, study of insects. Ethno, ethno को आप याद कर सकते हो, ethnics wears होते हैं ना आपके, so ethnics, cultures, values. Ethnology. Etymology तो अभी हम पूरा पढ़ करके आ रहे हैं, words, so etymo is for your word. Felino word हमेशा याद रखना cats के लिए आता है, जैसे हमने साइनो पढ़ा था for dogs, felino is for cats. Grapho for writing, Gynecologist for the female you relate to. Study of medicines related to women. Similarly, we have hematology. Hemoglobin जो sound कर रहा है ना, hemato, hemoglobin, study of hemoglobin. Or as in like study of blood, not hemoglobin. Then we have heliology. Helio is for sun. Helium से याद कर सकते हो आप. So that is a study of sun. Similarly, we have ophthalmology. Ophthalmologist होते हैं आपके हॉस्पिटल में अगर आप कभी गए होगे. So opthal word is for the eyes. Likewise, we have psychology. Psychology is for the mind and behavior. पायरो, अभी हमने पढ़ा भी था ये वर्ड गाइस कि पायरो वर्ड जिधर भी आएगा, पायरो इज फॉर द फायर. सिमिलरली सेलेनोलॉजी, आई थिंक सेलेनोफाइल मैंने आपको एक वर्ड बताया था. सो सेलेनो वर्ड इज फॉर द मून. लाइक आपने देखा होगा, लाइक आई एम a lot of people are there who are very fond of looking at the moon, admiring the beauty, the charm, the light of the moon. They are called as selenophiles. And similarly, hence we have our selenology, right? Then we have sociology, society, study of society. Zoology, animals, study of animals. Likewise, now we are going to study a lot of manias, right? Now, Abluto, I told you this abluto word is for the cleaning. हमने ये word पहले भी कर लिया था. So a person who is very obsessed with cleaning is called as ablutomaniac. Anglo Indian से relate कर सकते हो आप. A person who loves the English, the British culture, or is very much influenced from it is called as your Anglomaniac. Similarly, bibliokleptomaniac, we did it. Book, klept is thief, mania is obsession. A person who has a very great obsession of stealing books. Similarly, we have bibliomania, books, obsession. Cynomania, cyno is for dogs, obsession of dogs. Then we have dyspomania. So dispo is for the morbid and insatiable craving for alcohol. So a person who cannot control his or her obsession for drinking alcohol is called as dipsomaniac. Similarly, entomomania. So ento is for insects, obsession with insects. Graph of writing. Hydro is for water. Guys, this is important. Ichthyomania is for fish. क्लेप्टो मतलब चोरी करना. So आपने देखोगे कई लोग ऐसे होते हैं, वो सेंसिबली दे डू नॉट वांट टू, बट वो जिधर से भी निकलते हैं कहीं ना कहीं कुछ उठा करके जा रहे होते हैं. So they are called as kleptomaniac. They cannot resist that. Similarly, we have megalomania. So megalomania is basically delusional belief that one is of great importance. Maniac for doing. Then we have misomania, hatred. Miso is for hate. Mis हमेशा hate के लिए जाता है. Mytho is about telling lies. Mythology से relate कर सकते हो. Pseudo आपको पता है, pseudonym, pseudo fake. Pyro आग के लिए होता है. Seleno moon के लिए होता है. Xeno word is for foreign things, as in the things which are of other cultures, the other practices. Zoo is for your animal, right? Okay guys, now let's move on to a few questions and let's try doing them. Okay, so the first question says, his frivolous remarks provoked no movement. So what would be the meaning of the word? We have to go for what? Most similar. Synonyms ढूंढने हैं हमें. And by warning him prior to action, he has landed himself in a precarious situation. Read the two questions carefully and tell me what would be the answer and why. Quickly, पहले के options हैं आपके flippant, momentous, then you are being given the option as serious, fanciful. क्या होना चाहिए? And second के answers are carefree, insecure, safe. What should be the answer? Okay guys, now let's see the answers of the words. देखो भाई, मैंने आपको sufficient time दिया so that you can think about it. So he is frivolous. Frivolous is like very similar to the word flippant, which means something that easily flips or changes, like frivolous. अभी सोचा ये करना है, next moment सोचा ये करना है, next moment इस college में जाना है. That's frivolous and flippant. Other words are quite easier. Likewise, you're being given the word called as precarious. Now, precarious basically is very similar to insecure. Cautious, person who's very cautious is a person who's very insecure. Similarly, let's go to the other questions. Ajao again. Okay, if you read the novel carefully, you will realize that her character is irreproachable. Exemplary, flawed means had mistakes, defective or blemished. What should it be? Okay, see, irreproachable का मतलब होता है something that is very good. So that should be your exemplary. Okay, yes, of course I was doing the very same. And then you are being given the word called as blemished. So blemished का मतलब क्या होता है? Let's see that. Blemished means that something that has been marred or damaged. Blemishes लगे हुए, spots हैं, जो चीज damage हो चुकी है. Similarly, the fourth question says that Sanjay's point of view was correct, but his behavior with his father was quite impotent. अभी देखो, यहाँ पे अगर हमें नहीं भी पता ना guys, there's one more way of doing vocabulary, कि आप वहाँ elimination try कर सकते हो. How? See, his point of view was correct. ये पूरा conversation positive जा रहा था, but came in between. But always talks about the contradiction, which means now whichever word will be coming here has to be very negative. So impotent था, respectful तो नहीं होगा, which means healthy भी नहीं होगा. So it should be what? It should actually impressive भी नहीं होगा. It should be impolite, right? Then we have the next one. Our conscientious editor Romila checked definition for its accuracy. So it should be what? Novice, diligent means hardworking. Hardworking. And should it be unscientific or careless? What it should be? Tell me quickly. Okay, it should be that he checked the definition for its accuracy. So that can actually be that she was a very hardworking, right? Because novice is new, तो नहीं हो सकता. Careless होगी तो वो check नहीं करेगी. Unscientific होगी तो check नहीं करेगी. Then we have one in the next question also, guys. Yeah, we do have that. Okay, it says that. What do you have to do? Closest to the opposite in meaning. Guys, देखो जैसे मैं अभी यहाँ पे options पढ़ रही हूँ, options as in when I'm saying that, I'm reading the directions. Same, you have to do it. Make sure that you read the directions so that you do not end up making mistake, because I have seen a lot of students doing it. They read it, they think synonym ही होगा, synonym ढूंढ देते हैं, but पता चलता है antonym का question है. Do not do that. So the first word is that the minister's optimistic about the new project launch. Optimistic, I think, if you remember, we read this word. So optimistic means being very positive, right? So it could be negative, which is your pessimistic. Dubious is doubtful. Then we have the seventh one. There are reports that many poor people abandon female children. Now, abandon means they leave them. So opposite क्या होगा? They keep them. So it should be your A part. Okay. Now moving on to the next one. Do we have the next question, guys? Yes, we do have, I think. Ajao. Again. Okay. So we really have to call it with like very precision. Okay. It says that in ancient India, scholars had no interest in political power or material growth. Material. Now you think what could be the opposite of material? Could it be spiritual, internal, celestial, psychic? Of course, material का opposite आपका क्या होना चाहिए? Spiritual. Now ninth one. It says that there are 4 chapters that are extraneous to the structure of the book. 4 chapters. So what are they? Repetitive, needful, relevant, redundant. Redundant is like of no use. There are 4 chapters that are extraneous. So extraneous means extra, not needed. So opposite would be they are relevant, right? It should be C. Next question, guys, 10th one. It says that the plantation workers were on a collision course before the labor officer intervened. So that could be what? That could be your conciliatory, perfunctory, circuitous, retaliatory. What could that be? Tell me. Okay, it says that the plantation workers were on a collision course before the labor officers interfered. So it could be your it could be your conciliatory, as in they were working together. The opposite of the word is that. Because collision आप समझते हो ना, जैसे आपने कभी पढ़ा होगा मॉलिक्यूल्स हमेशा कोलाइड करते हैं, सो एक दूसरे से टकराते रहते हैं. Then the next one is your, what do you have to do here? So you have to choose the word which is most similar in meaning to the word. So the word is your appease. Now you tell me what could be the synonym of the word appease there. Okay. Could it be wrath? Could it be could it be your priority? Could it be your pacify? Could it be your interrupt? Quick guys, tell me. And have you read what you have to do here? Synonyms आपको find करने हैं या फिर आपको antonyms find करने हैं? Have you seen that? You have to find the synonyms. अभी देखो. So appease word दिया था. Now appease का synonym could be what? Wrath, priority, pacify, interrupt. Pacify का मतलब होता है to calm down. So that should actually be the answer. Appease means bringing at ease. Relate like that. Trivial. अभी हमने पढ़ा था ना, trivial word. We just even did it in the class that do not fight for the trivial things. Means do not fight for the things which are not so important. So that could be your unimportant. Where is the question, guys? It went. Okay. So that can be your unimportant. Then we have the third one, bashful. Haughty का मतलब होता है arrogant. Same goes for the other words. So that could be bashful. So bashful ka synonym could be shy. Then we have the word called as candor. Very, very, very important for the exam. Candor could be your enthusiastic, openness, quality, intimacy. What that could be. So candor's synonym could be your open. Okay. I thought कुछ तो सर्कल में घूम रहा है. Then the word and I hope you are doing it like आप मेरे साथ आंसर कर रहे हो सारे सवालों को. Okay, born homie. Let me tell you one thing, guys. Born is your a known person. Homie word हमेशा आता है friend के लिए. So अभी आप देखना, greed नहीं होगा, agitate नहीं हो सकता, agitated है irritate होना. So that could be your friendliness. Of course, it cannot be a priority also. Then, do we have other questions? Yes, we do have, guys. Okay, let's do that now. So we have to go for the words which are in opposite. Now you read the word and you check and tell me which word is opposite. Okay, let's see. So the pehla question जो आपके पास है, that's wispy. Now, what could be the word opposite to wispy? Concrete, unkind, fleshy, uninteresting. Okay, now the opposite could be, see, wispy is basically when you talk about something that is like very thin and fragile, right? So let me write that, very thin. So opposite could be fleshy, right? Next we have, okay, we did it already. Then the word is here, irascible. Irascible's opposite could be what? Kind, unfriendly. Roguish again is like bad, or it could be clever. What should be the one? Now, irascible is also again which gives you the meaning of something like a person who's not friendly at all. Okay, so that the opposite of the word could be your friendly. Roguish again means being very bad. Rogue से relate कर सकते हो आप. Then ये आंसर जो किसी का दिया हुआ है guys हमें. Okay, let's see that. Lan is basically brashness, dignity, composure, nervousness. Now this word is what? See, Lan is basically your, when you talk about something like things are when very scattered or when things are not very much in a collected form. So opposite of that could be your composure. Then, okay, since we already are being given the answer of the word. Let's see that. So it says penchant. Disinclination, of course, because penchant is beautiful, attractive. So opposite of that could be when you are disinclined toward things, right? Then we have the next word, perfunctory. Perfunctory guys, मैं फिर बोल रही हूँ, बहुत 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 काम का word है आपका, ठीक है? Perfunctory का मतलब होता है when things are done just for the namesake, or what do you call it? Just for the performance. That's called as perfunctory. So opposite of that could be what? Opposite of that could be your careful, right? Okay, so we are done with that. Now, do we have other questions also with us? Yes, we do have, guys. We have lots and lots of questions to do. So the question is, animals living on land and in water are called as what? Animals living on land and water are called as amphibians. Amorphous rocks होते हैं. Ambivalent is like बीच में, not decided. Ambiguous, doubtful. In short, जिधर भी ambi word आएगा, which means both. बस ये याद रखना, ठीक? Amphi, both. BNs is for animals. US is for doubtful. So a light sailing boat built specially for racing is called as what? So that of course is called as, of course, yacht, frigate, dinghy. What do you call it? Guys, take your time and answer that. Done? Okay, I think you all would know the meaning of like the answer for that. That's called as your yacht. 23. Okay, be the embodiment or perfect example of. So what is that called as? So when you talk about something that is the perfect example of anything, that is called as your personified. Masquerade is like hidden. You probably would have heard about the mass parties, the hidden, when you talk about. Similarly, if I were to talk about what is a house for storing grains called as. So a house which is for storing grains is called as your granary. Right. Godown is a place where objects are kept. Likewise, a name adopted by the author in his writings. So often, guys, you would have seen that whichever person writes doesn't write by his or her own name. They get their own pet name, the another name. So that is called as your pseudonym, right? Nomenclature is means when you talk about the method of giving names to things. गिविंग नेम्स, ठीक, जिसे नाउन बोलते हैं ना, किसी भी चीज को जो नाम देने का प्रोसेस होता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज योर नॉमेनक्लेचर. Okay, so we are done with this. Let's see if we are okay. So that's it. We are done with today's session. Now let me give you a recap. What did we study, guys? Do you remember we became detectives? पहले हमने blocks पढ़े थे. So we studied root words. I think we studied 50-60 root words, which were really very important. Then we studied passport. Do you remember? So we studied foreign words. Latin, French, right? Italian, Spanish. We gathered knowledge. Third case we studied was of your one word substitution. Wherein prism, do you remember, was there. In spite of saying a very long sentence, we couldn't go for a one word. Then the last we studied was brain, and that Tarazu we talk about. We studied antonyms, synonyms, we studied homophones and homonyms. So we have gotten a complete and a full knowledge about the vocabulary. So that's it. Now it's a wrap up from my side. Take care of yourself, guys, and hope this session has been very fruitful to you. You have learned a lot. We are gonna meet in the next session. Till then, take care of yourself. Keep studying. Also, do memorize all the words what we have studied, for the reason they were really very important. Bye.